Truth, Peace, Hotep, Bigwick 1961. Just informing people that we're going to have a social connection for the Conscious Africans Connected Ning group. And the topic for this Wednesday's program at 9 o'clock is African Spirituality Spookism. That's 347-994-2069 Eastern Standard Time at 9 p.m. That's going to be our topic of discussion, is African Spirituality Spookism. And it's not really to defend whether or not our spirituality is spookism or not. It's really just to clarify, a position coming from people who believe in African spirituality, who believe in the connection of the diaspora, that, our position is basically that how could it be spookism? That's a terminology that the European came up with because of their lack of understanding. Now, I'm not saying that people are not intelligent when they use the word spookism, but it isn't based upon any other thing, or it's a fear of the unknown. And, to call it spookism, I mean, to use the word spookism, that's what they called us, because, that's what we did when we came here. We gathered together, we had our tribal gatherings, but now we've changed those tribal gatherings into churches. And we've lost our identity by grasping on to this European belief system of Christianity, which is our stolen legacy. I believe in the Bible being 80% accurate in terms of our own spirituality. The other 20%, I don't not approve of. It's just that it doesn't fall in line, and it only falls in line with a paradigm of control. And so, we're going to have this discussion on Wednesday at 9 p.m. on Blog Talk Radio. You can tune in at www.consciousafricans.ning.com. That's our group. But on Blog Talk, it's www.blogtalkradio.com/consciousafricans. Be there and, voice, your belief or your disbelief in the terminology which is going, on in some of our community, not all of our community, regarding our spirituality being spookism. And again, my standpoint and the standpoint of a lot of our members is that, it's not spookism. It's our spirituality, it's our belief system. Okay, and so, I believe that, the only reason why it's being done or even being said is because there are, you're trying to put circumstances that go beyond the normal way of living as coincidental. And there are instances within my own life that coincidence cannot define. So I don't consider it spooky. I consider it what it is, a spiritual connection with what's around me. I believe that there's a spiritual connection in all things, from everywhere. And that connection is what governs my life. If it doesn't govern someone else's life, that's well and good. Because I know people who understand spirituality who have never had a spiritual experience. But that doesn't make them less of a spiritual person. It just is at that time or within their life, maybe there were things that happened that they couldn't recognize. And I'm not trying to force a position of saying that, well, that tree limb just almost hit you. You know what I mean? That was your ancestors or your ancients, preventing you from being hurt. Could be true. Could be that, the way they walked, and, they were more aware and, subconsciously moved out the way. But then when we talk about conscious and subconscious, that's another issue. It's the same thing, where I talked about social consciousness and spiritual consciousness. And that, they work hand in hand, but I say that I'm spiritually aware and socially blind. Because in terms of the blindness, I'm not saying I'm not aware of things that are going on. I don't take them in face value. That there is a cause and effect for social conditions that go against, freedom, justice, and equality. You know what I mean? And us having, a peaceful existence in this realm in which we call this world or this earth. And that I believe there's a universal connectiveness. As things happen above, so they happen below. So that means that conditions that are happening on a social realm are happening in a heavenly realm as well. And that there's no peace in paradise unless you can connect to that within. So as we have the inner self and we have the outer self. And if the inner self is connective, then the outer self will connect as well. It's the same way as if, to say that if your heart is hard, then you're going to look at the world in a hard light. But if your heart is open, soft, and understanding, then you're going to understand these things that happen to you. I'm not trying to put it in that simplistic term. It's just a viewpoint in which I take a look at life. And then sometimes I didn't look at it that way, that everything was cut and dry. It's either this way or that way and no other way. And I'm not saying that, to get to the point where, all you do is make decisions, without having any mindset. But I believe that the mind is the connection to, the spiritual realm. And the more powerful your mind is, the more power that you give it by nurturing it with not only good vibrations, but, because there are bad vibrations, and we also have to recognize those. And, if bad vibrations are empowering your life, I'm not going to sit here and say, just pray on your knees and things are going to get better, but it's a start. And it's not praying on your knees. You pray where you stand, where you sit, while you think, while you're doing anything. And prayer and meditation are good things to give us good vibrations. So if you disagree with this position, all well and good. This is not a debate. It's just a discussion. And if you want, to cause discourse, part of our rules and conditions for our Blog Talk Radio is we do not get into semantics and we do not get into, discrediting anybody because they have a belief. Come be heard. If you believe that spirituality is spookism, then not defend it, but talk about it. We don't have to argue, fuss, and fight and use, a verbal language, that defines, a negativity in the sense of what we're trying to put across in a positive sense. So if you think it's a positive sense that we shouldn't be involved in quote unquote spookism, then come join us on Wednesday, 347-994-2069, www.blogtalkradio.com/consciousafricans. Be there and be heard. Peace and blessings. Have a good day.